Alright, so this video is going to be the how to diagnose your draw and how to fix your index. So to start off, you can see I'm doing a little, obviously I'm filming the video, but I'm doing it just the way I would normally do the dry fire, except for wearing the jersey, just because I felt like wearing the jersey for the video. Um, so no inner belt. I like ratcheting belts for that reason. I could just throw it on, cinch it up, and then I'm good to go. I'm able to do everything I need to. The other thing I like to do is I prefer to use a little bit of chalk, just like I would at a match. This way, I get a nice realistic feel. It also allows me to kind of sink into the gun a little bit better. And what I mean is that I'm not sliding into position. I'm grabbing the right position. So the first thing I want to talk about is checking your index, checking your grip to see if it works with your index. And what I mean by that is take your time, get the gun out, pick a target, aim at the target, stare at that target, move your eyes to a different target, and then just bring the gun there. If the dot arrives where you want it to be, that means your left to right is good. As far as where your grip placement is, because if you're too far on the gun, you're going to be wanting to pull it to the left. If you're too close to the gun, you might be pushing it off to the right. If you're in the right spot, you're then going to be lined up, at least for the left to right. The up and down is your own wrists. So if you come up and you find the dot is usually up, you need to figure out where that comfort spot is to relax and get your wrist flat. So for me, especially, on my Shadow 2, if I'm looking at this, I have that nice deep beaver tail. The first index point, and this is going to combine in with the draw. The first index point for me is making sure that my hand goes as high up on this backstrap as I possibly can get it. So when I'm grabbing it here, there's a couple things I'm feeling for. One, I'm feeling the web in my hand. Am I getting all the way up there? Is my thumb feel about in the right spot? I'm not putting any pressure on my thumb, so there's not necessarily an index point there. I'm not trying to feel for the safety or do anything like that. If I was running like a 2011 or something, that would be a different story. I'd be making sure that my thumb is sitting on the right spot of the safety. So for me, there's three spots on my strong hand that I'm checking to make sure that I'm in the perfect spot. First is going to be the web. Second is going to be this checkering, this back corner of the checkering. I'm feeling in that part of my hand right there. So when I'm grabbing onto the gun from the holster, as soon as I'm touching down, I can feel where the webbing of my hand is, and I can feel that back corner of the checkering is on that kind of soft part of my thumb. So once I kind of feel that, I know I'm in the right spot. Because if I'm over too far, now I know I'm not even close to the right spot. If I go to try and grab it, there's gonna be a big hole in there. So I want to make sure that those two feel good, and then I can start wrapping the rest of my fingers around. Once I'm wrapping the rest of my fingers around, my next index point on my dominant hand is going to be this knuckle. I want this knuckle to be just on the outside corner of that trigger guard. If I'm too far in, now it's not going to work. If I'm too far out, I'm going to have a terrible trigger finger because I'm not going to have enough on there, especially for that first double action. So those are the first three spots that I'm trying to pay attention to on my initial grab of the gun. I also don't scoop. I only do the snatch draw. I understand if you practice, a scoop can be faster. I don't really care. For actual stages, it almost doesn't matter when it comes to 0.2 of a second. For class fires, it can, but it doesn't really matter. It does, don't get me wrong. Feels nice to see when you get to click the M next to your name. But from a match standing perspective, it looks a whole lot cooler when you're at a match and you can see your name sitting there next to a GM or something like that. At the top of the rankings, obviously. If a GM tanks and you're both middle of the pack, it's not nearly as much fun. But when you're looking in the top 10 and you see your name and a whole bunch of, and several other known GMs. That feels better. But moving on. So now I've established what I need to feel with my dominant hand. So the next thing is, what do I need to feel on my support hand to make sure that I get that same perfect grip? It's a little bit simpler, but I'm trying to split this knuckle in between here and here. If I can get the trigger guard to split that, I'm then going to be in the right spot. And obviously touching my other hand. So if I'm splitting that, all I need to do is just place my hand in there. So once I place my hand in there, now I'm filling in the whole space. I'm getting a perfect grip on the gun, and now it's exactly where I want it to be. And so now we understand where I'm trying to feel as far as those index points on the draw. So as it comes together, all right, I felt all three of those. I'm touching there. The dot is exactly where I want it to be. All right, so that was nice and slow. A little bit quicker. A little bit quicker. That was a little bit violent out of the holster, which also doesn't help that it's not Velcroed on. If my main focus, and it was for the first 3 days that I started down my figuring this draw out, if my main focus is only to increase draw speed, I do recommend having your inner belt on, just because you don't want any binding from the holster, which if your draw is correct, you won't have any. But if you do push in a little too much, or whatever the case may be, it may make it harder. So we've now got feeling the strong hand, feeling the weak hand. Dot is exactly where we want it. The whole goal for me is not to try and just push max speed the whole time. I want to be able to feel everything that's supposed to be happening correctly and then increase the speed. There's going to be a point where you start messing it up. If you get to the point where you're messing it up but you understand it, that's where training is. That's where you're actually starting to grow. You have to understand where it's being messed up. Not that you just try to pull the gun out as fast as you can and you're not even close to it, then that was useless. But after each draw, if you come up, where are my hands? Am I good? I'm a little bit low on my support hand. I'm not quite as into the gun as I want to be. Check it after each one. Increase the speed to the point where you can't do it perfect. Back it down to see where that average is. All it is just creating a higher average. I know I talked about that in the B to M video, but it's really all it is. It's just being able to push the speed to the point where you're going to mess it up, but you've done the homework, the slow stuff, to figure out how to understand what you're messing up. When it comes to reloads, I'm lazy. I don't want to be picking up magazines. So the way that I do it is I'll have the gun on target. I will push the magazine release. Push the magazine release. Start looking at the magwell and then insert it. So for me, what annoyed me about reloads the most is in matches, normal stages, I wouldn't really have an issue with reloads. When you're doing a reload on the move, you're not trying to do, second or around a second reload because you have time. You're literally running to the next position or whatever the case may be. When it's stand and deliver like classifiers, or in just standing in one square spot doing dry fire, it's way worse. Especially with a Shadow 2 and as sharp of a magazine well as that is. So as I started trying to push the speed in the reloads, a lot of them would come out. I would miss the way that I grabbed the magazine because I'm trying to push it. I would hit the back of the magazine well. or I would hit the front of it, which isn't quite as bad because it kind of slides in. But on a shadow, if you're off to the side and you catch metal, you ain't going in. If you're on the back and you catch the metal, it's going to be way harder. So the way that I found to help get the speed up is have gun on target, slow it down, make sure that you're indexing the magazine correctly. I index it in the middle of my palm and towards the top of the magazine. That's just how my pouches work. I like the bullets out better than bullets forward. That's personal preference. So I'm here, hit the magazine release. I start my grab by getting my hand onto the magazine. I could usually feel it on my ring finger on my support hand, my left hand, at the corner of the magazine. I'm then bringing it up. I have it indexed. For me at this point, now I'm looking at the magazine well. So if I'm looking at the magazine well, what I want to do is as soon as I can't see the bullet anymore, so as soon as the bullets are in the magazine well, then I have full freedom to smash the magazine in. If I am staring at the target, continue staring at the target, that's where I miss. So as much as it's cool to see people on YouTube and Instagram do these little dry fire, it'd be nice if I could do one that was actually clean, but dry fire, no look reload, even that I cheated and I looked. But as much as those no look reloads are nice, they're just not going to be as consistent. I can do them. Like if I'm not paying attention, I can get it in. It just depends. Am I going to get it in every time? And if I'm trying to do it as quick as I possibly can, especially on a classifier or something like that, just paying attention to that initial, like I said, right as those bullets get in there, then I can push it all the way in. So same thing with reloads. We're going to start them off slow. Watch it go in. We're good. But I'm going to get faster. So that one was a little catch, but it was relatively clean. That one was actually clean. That one was not. So where did I go wrong there? I shorted it. I was getting a little too confident. I thought that I could rush getting back, looking at the target. So I've rushed looking at the magwell and getting back on target. What I did is as soon as I thought it was close enough, I shifted my vision back onto the target, and then I missed it. And I caught the back, and it just started to bind up and not go in. So those are kind of all the small details I'm talking about in how to diagnose your index, how to diagnose your draw, where is it going wrong. It's about slowing everything down, finding those small details that you need to feel in your hands, and then speeding it up and seeing where things break down. What are you not feeling at the faster speeds? What are you not paying attention to? I talked about the journaling in the ChatGPT, the interactive journal. The first couple of days, I should be able to find it. The first couple of days, I was probably brutally honest with myself and just like downright mean about how I don't understand that I still suck this bad and I've shot so many rounds, I've shot so many matches, and I can't sit here and draw my gun consistently. So that's when I figured out how to pay attention. All right, what do I need to feel? What do I need to pay attention to? That's when I started slowing down and rebuilding everything, which is why I'm making this video. But to give you an example of what that would sound like as far as a journal entry, it would be my right hand, I'm missing the how deep I need to be on the backstrap. I'm shorting the gun, I'm not getting high enough, and my main issue was I'm missing my support hand. So I grabbed too far forward. There's a giant space there. Now when I go to squeeze, everything's getting pushed around. It's not giving me my right index. At slow speeds, I figured it out. I can feel everything correctly. At high speeds, as I increase the speed, the more and more dramatic the failures became. At higher speeds, I would miss where my support hand was supposed to be. I wasn't hitting the trigger guard and rolling in. I was just smashing it and then just grabbing. And then I would have to adjust to get the dot where I want it to be. So a lot of that is just patience, remembering what you're feeling, and just trying to build that higher average. That's about all I got on this. Hopefully next week I will have the full ChatGPT video put together. Trying to figure out how to do screen share and all that fun stuff. And then also I am going to be, hopefully, we're going to see, I'm going to be filming my level 1 and my level 2 like in-person classes, but I'm going to do it in a private session with my buddy as the student who does not shoot competitively, and we'll get his feedback, see what he thinks from somebody who just kind of shoots once a year, twice a year, and all of a sudden gets dropped into a performance pistol class, and I don't know if he knows what he's in for, but it should be fun. All right, any questions, comments, or concerns, let me know. Appreciate it. Thank you.